They call this the AirTag killer. I'm gonna say it up front, the Xiaomi Smart Tag is not an AirTag killer. But is it any good? Let's inspect. Knowing this is not the AirTag killer doesn't mean it's bad. In fact, for Android users, this might be one of the most practical trackers you can buy right now if you understand its limitations. So today, no hype, real tests, real comparisons with the AirTag, and at the end, I will tell you clearly who should buy this and who absolutely shouldn't. Before we even open the box, we need to talk about something important because most people misunderstand how these trackers actually work. There are two completely separate worlds. The Apple world, where the AirTag uses the Apple Find My network, where we have hundreds of millions of iPhones consistently scanning for nearby AirTags, and that's why the AirTag works almost everywhere, even though it doesn't have GPS or data plans inbuilt. The Android world uses Google's Find My Device network, which is much newer and currently much less dense in many regions. And here's the key point: Apple devices do not help Android trackers, and Android devices do not help AirTags. So performance of any Android tag, including Xiaomi ones, depends heavily on A, how many Android phones are nearby, and B, whether Google's network is active and supported in your regions. This matters more than any spec sheet. Good news is that with the Xiaomi tag, you have a choice: either Apple's or Google's network. Inside this tiny box, things are simple. You get the tracker, a CR battery pre-installed. The only thing you have to do is to pull this thing, and then you hear the activation and it is pairing ready. The heaviest out of all is this leaflet with the quick setup instructions. Read them thoroughly. Design is actually one of the strong points here. It is compact, lightweight, most importantly already has a keyring hole. I find this very practical, which means that at the start you will not need extra cases or accessories like you do with the AirTag. And Xiaomi also added IP68 water and dust resistance, a very nice bonus for everyday use. Oh, and of course it has built-in beeper, and since we're comparing to the AirTag, this is Apple's Generation 1 level versus this current Xiaomi Smart Tag. Notice the difference in decibels. Overall, my first impression from the build: clean, practical, no unnecessary extras. Let's also go quickly through the important technical highlights. Bluetooth tracking happens via Google Find My Device network or Apple's Find My network. There's a built-in speaker for sound alerts, a replaceable battery, which should usually last up to 1 year, location sharing through Google's or Apple's ecosystems, and this is very lightweight. But there's one big feature missing: no ultra-wideband, and this becomes very important later. Now, let's talk about what actually matters: real performance. I tested the Xiaomi tag side by side with an AirTag in several scenarios. The first one, at home. Both devices work fine for close-range finding. You can see the location, trigger a sound, and find it easily inside a room. But here's where the AirTag is clearly better. With ultra-wideband, you get precision finding, direction arrows, distance indicator, and much faster recovery. With Xiaomi, you're relying only on signal strength and sound, which works but is less precise. The second test is about performance in public areas. It's where network matters even more. I've tracked both an AirTag and a Mi Tag via Apple's Find My, and the results have surprised me quite a lot. Both units were placed inside my wife's car at the very same place, and Xiaomi Tag has been updating its location a lot more frequently than the AirTag, and precision has also been somewhat better. My conclusion is that likely the fresher Bluetooth version inside Xiaomi's device allows greater throughput and reach, so not only network density is super important, the Bluetooth range of these things can make a difference too. Which is also confirmed by my third scenario, with my son going to school and both units inside his backpack. Here, I've decided to split the network, and the Mi Tag points to the Google Find Hub. The AirTags still receive location updates relatively quickly. The Xiaomi tags sometimes showed delayed location or the last known position for a bit longer, at least before the bus reached the more central location. So if you live in a smaller city or travel to rural areas, this is something you must consider. So, if we have to put together a list with the downsides, the lack of precision direction finding and the harder to locate nearby items are due to the lack of ultra-wideband. Network is still maturing if you rely on Google's Find My Device and can be inconsistent in less populated areas, and you can choose only one ecosystem at a time. And one more practical point, the Google Find My Device network is still rolling out features, so the experience may improve over time, but today it's not at Apple's level. So let's answer the real question: is the Xiaomi Tag an AirTag killer, as many reviews already suggest? The answer is clearly no, but here's what makes it interesting. Unlike most other Android trackers, this buddy actually can work with Apple's Find My network, which means it can benefit from the massive global coverage created by millions of iPhones, which already puts it ahead of most budget alternatives. However, there's a trade-off. The tracking works, but the accuracy and responsiveness are still behind AirTag. There is no ultra-wideband, no precision finding, and location updates can be less refined. So here's my honest verdict. Buy the Xiaomi Tag if you want access to Apple's Find My network at a much lower price, or you need a simple, reliable tracker for keys, luggage, or everyday items, or if you're okay with slightly lower accuracy in exchange for better value. Skip it if you want AirTag-like precision and distance data, or you simply want the best experience the Apple ecosystem currently can offer. Think of the Xiaomi Tag not as an AirTag replacement, but as a budget entry into the Find My ecosystem, or of course something that gets you to Android's Find My device on a budget. That's a Xiaomi Tag. Marketing versus reality. If you like honest, real tech reviews without the hype, please do subscribe to the channel. And if you're deciding between AirTag and Android trackers, tell me in the comments. I might do a full comparison. Thank you so much for watching. I'm the TechMishka, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.